The attack of the three islands had already begun. Xiao Yan sensed numerous auras at the half-saint Ban Sheng level. The attackers openly declared that the three great dragon kings were the true rulers, while Ziyan was merely a fake that had come from some unknown place. Although any void dragon could clearly sense the purity of Ziyan's bloodline, those dragons had been under the control of the three dragon kings for many years, and their way of thinking had long been altered. They did not dare to directly attack the dragon Empress herself, yet they felt no particular fear when attacking others. The three great islands truly dared to attack Her Majesty, the Dragon Empress. About 8 people were surrounded by 10 opponents. Among them were He Qing and Elder Zhu Li, both of whom Xiao Yan had met before. The commander of the enemy islands, a half-saint Ban Sheng expert, launched an extremely powerful strike at He Qing, who was at the 9th star of the Do Zun 8th stage. The gap in strength between them was enormous, and He Qing's armor shattered in an instant. Xiao Yan arrived in time and helped his old acquaintance. "What is the situation on the Eastern Dragon Island right now?" Xiao Yan asked. Elder Zhu Li sighed. "Very bad. The three great dragon islands have completely flooded the island. They intend to kill the Dragon Empress before she can reach the peak of her power. The Eastern Dragon Island is in total chaos. Ziyan has been surrounded by the three great dragon kings." A serious expression appeared on Xiao Yan's face. The situation on the Eastern Dragon Island was far worse than he had imagined. His fists clenched tightly. No matter how powerful the three great dragon kings were, he could not simply ignore Ziyan. As he moved closer, Xiao Yan saw that nearly 2/3 of the island had already been occupied by the three great dragon islands. "Where is Ziyan?" Xiao Yan's eyes swept across the island, yet he did not find even a trace of Ziyan. Then, a familiar figure with long purple hair was the first thing his eyes caught. Who else could such hair belong to but Ziyan? Standing opposite Ziyan were 3 figures. All 3 were middle-aged men. Every movement they made was filled with authority, revealing their fierce and domineering nature. They were the 3 great dragon kings. Xiao Yan could feel that these 3 possessed strength surpassing that of the leader of the deep python tribe, Yao Ming. In other words, each of them possessed at least the power of a 3-star saint. Ziyan held a long dark golden spear in her hands. She had managed to prevent the 3 great dragon kings from gaining the upper hand. Because of her dragon phoenix physique, her strength had soared dramatically. Compared to Xiao Yan, it could even be said that she had reached the peak in a single step. Moreover, this peak of power was even higher than Xiao Yan's. The dragon phoenix possessed the bloodline power of the ancient void dragon and the heavenly phoenix. It was the true ruler of the magical beast world. When a dragon phoenix truly matured, this monstrous existence would not fear even a legendary god. However, that was something for the future. Only a short period of time had passed since Ziyan became a dragon phoenix. Although her strength had soared over these past few years, she was still not strong enough to face these 3 great dragon kings, who were far more experienced than her. Xiao Yan released his heavenly flame. The terrifyingly high temperature shocked the half-saint Ban Sheng experts. With Xiao Yan's current strength, the power of his heavenly flame had become many times stronger than in the past. Xiao Yan had to help Ziyan. Xiao Yan's first opponent was Xian Mo, the first commander of the Western Dragon Island, a 2-star saint. He threw a punch and clashed head-on with Xian Mo. A thunderous roar from Xiao Yan suddenly exploded across the sky at the moment of impact. The strength of the 3 great dragon islands was indeed formidable. Even among their subordinates there were such powerful experts. If Xiao Yan had not relied on the giant body, he would not have been able to gain the upper hand in a purely physical clash. This commander was trying to restrain Xiao Yan while the 3 dragon kings intended to kill Ziyan. Xiao Yan acted decisively. He appeared beside another Do Zun. Then he grabbed this Do Zun by the arm and used him as a weapon. He ruthlessly smashed this Do Zun into a half-saint Ban Sheng. Because of the terrifying energy involved, the Do Zun's arm was torn apart. At the same time, the half-saint Ban Sheng was struck and sent flying backward. Xiao Yan stared into the empty space in the distance. That was where the most important battlefield was located. Its outcome would determine the result of the war and the final victor. However, the situation within that cluster of light made Xiao Yan's heart tremble. Yan was exhausted. She was being pushed back by the combined attacks of the three Dragon Kings. One must remember that all three Dragon Kings were at the 3-star saint level. And what about Yan's strength? After successfully completing her evolution and absorbing the origin fruit of the dragon and phoenix, she had reached the Saint Do Sheng level of 4 stars. Yet, relying on her imperial bloodline, she was single-handedly resisting 3 3-star saints. This was truly astonishing. Xiao Yan left his allies, the leader of the Deep Python tribe, Yao Ming, and the elders who stood on Yan's side, and headed straight toward the 3 Dragon Kings. Yan's dark golden spear carved a brilliant arc through the void and mercilessly smashed into one of the kings. The dragon phoenix physique was extremely powerful. Even the Dragon King praised the strength, admitting that it was truly formidable. Niece Yan, although you possess the extremely rare dragon phoenix physique, you are still a child. You are truly too naive if you think you can deal with the 3 of us alone. These were the words of one of the Dragon Kings. The Western Dragon King behaved arrogantly. These 3 Dragon Kings had taken advantage of Zhu Kuan's disappearance and split the ancient Void Dragon tribe, leading to the current state of the clan. Yan was furious. The losses caused by the internal strife within the clan were far too severe. Among the 3 Dragon Kings, the Northern Dragon King was the leader and the most terrifying. He was not only scheming, but also willing to use any means to achieve his goals. It was he who had proposed cooperating with the Heavenly Demon Phoenix tribe, essentially joining forces with their enemies. Yan's expression darkened when she saw the 3 preparing to attack together once more. A pair of phoenix wings spanning 100 meters spread open from her back. These wings made the Northern Dragon King feel alarmed. His body shot forward, with the Western and Southern Dragon Kings following closely behind. But at that very moment, Xiao Yan attacked from below. Tranquil Source Palm. A violent explosion suddenly erupted from empty space, ruthlessly striking toward the trio of kings. Who are you, little thief? How dare you interfere in the affairs of my ancient Void Dragon tribe? This sudden attack startled the 3 Dragon Kings. Their eyes finally focused on the figure flapping a pair of green and red bone wings. Brat, are you seeking death? Cold light flashed in the eyes of the Southern Dragon King. Yan was also stunned. Xiao Yan. Joy quickly appeared in her eyes, but soon that joy turned into concern. Xiao Yan, what are you doing here? You are no match for them. Leave immediately. With her current strength, Yan could naturally tell Xiao Yan's cultivation at a glance, an advanced 1-star saint. Although such a rate of growth was shocking, his opponents this time were the famed 3 great Dragon Kings. Xiao Yan ignored Yan's concern. He asked her how much time she needed. He understood that Yan was preparing a powerful attack, and such preparation clearly required a great deal of time. Yan answered him, 10 minutes. Leave them to me. Xiao Yan was confident in his strength. The 3 great Dragon Kings were regarded as top experts on the continent. The Western and Southern Dragon Kings were advanced 3-star saints, while the Northern Dragon King was even stronger, already close to the 4-star saint level. Xiao Yan began forming numerous hand seals. The Northern Dragon King was extremely cautious and unwilling to take risks. Even though the newcomer only possessed the strength of a 1-star saint, he still insisted that the 3 of them attack with full force and kill Xiao Yan first, rather than Yan. The other 2 kings exchanged glances upon hearing this. They felt some disdain toward the Northern Dragon King's caution, but said nothing and did not argue. Their bodies moved at the same time, sharp and deadly attacks whistling toward Xiao Yan. At the same moment, Xiao Yan's spiritual strength suddenly erupted from his forehead. Divine wrath of the tranquil source. Xiao Yan clearly understood the immense gap in strength between himself and the 3 great Dragon Kings. He would not last even 5 minutes in a direct confrontation. Therefore, he decided to use the only heaven-class high-tier Do Chi technique in his arsenal, a spiritual attack. The physical bodies of ancient void dragons were extremely tough, but spiritual power was their weakness. The Northern Dragon King immediately felt intense pain in his head. The 3 Dragon Kings' bodies froze for an instant. Severe pain, as if their heads were being sliced by blades, surged from within, making them wish their heads could be torn off. Then Xiao Yan smiled lightly. Explode. At that moment, A five-colored flame lotus appeared in Xiao Yan's hand. A storm of fire swept across the heavens. The extremely chaotic battles on the eastern Dragon Island fell silent. One could only imagine the might of Xiao Yan's five-colored lotus at the saint level. But that was not all. Xiao Yan had practically activated everything he could. He swallowed several pills, used all three tranquil source divine techniques, including divine wrath, and unleashed the most terrifying five-colored flame lotus. In addition, at the final moment, he formed the illusory body of 3,000 lightning and, taking advantage of the three Dragon Kings' inability to react to their surroundings, appeared behind them. Finally, he detonated the flame lotus right beside them, completely subjecting the three Dragon Kings to the most destructive power of the flame lotus. Yet they did not die. From within the sea of flames came a dragon roar filled with wild killing intent. They're actually not dead. Xiao Yan's heart trembled slightly as a dragon claw dozens of meters in size violently stretched out from the storm. Three dragons, each tens of thousands of meters long, burst out of the sea of fire. Their massive blood-red eyes gleamed with incomparable ferocity. These were truly formidable opponents for Xiao Yan. No wonder the Void Dragon tribe was considered so powerful. Xiao Yan clearly understood the power of the divine wrath of the Tranquil Source, his mental attack on the mind, and the Flame Lotus. One technique specialized in damaging the soul, while the other boasted terrifying destructive power. The force created by combining the two could only be described as horrifying. However, the bodies of the ancient Void Dragons were unbelievably tough. A dragon roar resounded, and a dragon claw hundreds of meters in size shot toward Xiao Yan. The three enormously huge dragons were the true forms of the three great Dragon Kings, yet their appearance was extremely miserable. Blood streamed like rivers from their massive dragon bodies. More than half of their scales, each the size of a human head, had been shattered. Deep wounds like ravines covered their bodies, and white bones could be seen in some places within those injuries. Although they had survived Xiao Yan's attacks, they had paid a heavy price. Little bastard. I guarantee that you will suffer a fate worse than death. The three enormous dragons hovered in the void. Extremely dense dragon might spread in all directions. It was as if the entire world were trembling at that very moment. Vicious roars thundered across this empty realm. Standing before these three gigantic dragons, Xiao Yan looked like an ant. He flapped his bone wings and rapidly retreated. The three great Dragon Kings had already gone mad. If he confronted them head-on, he would most likely die. Three pillars of light, each 1,000 meters wide, shot forth with extremely terrifying destructive power. If Xiao Yan were struck by them, it was very likely that he would be completely erased. Reincarnation of the Furious Buddha. Xiao Yan activated his self-created saint-level technique. Four masses of heavenly flame flew out and transformed into a platform, forming a ring of fire. This was a unique Do Chi skill that Xiao Yan comprehended after advancing to the saint level. The enormous fiery platform collided head-on with the attacks of the three Dragon Kings. Boom! At the instant of collision, a strange force erupted from within the fiery platform, and the pillars of light were sent whistling back in the opposite direction. Even so, this force still caused Xiao Yan to spit out a mouthful of blood. The Dragon Kings suffered the same fate. After blocking all three of their attacks, the fiery platform also exploded. Xiao Yan's body was blasted backward, and he spat out even more blood. Those three reflected pillars of light then mercilessly shot toward the massive bodies of the three great Dragon Kings, inflicting even more horrific injuries upon them. Kill him! A wild and brutal roar echoed through space. The Northern Dragon King was completely enraged at this moment. The combined attacks of the three great Dragon Kings had not only failed to quickly kill Xiao Yan, but instead they themselves had been injured by their own power. One must remember that Xiao Yan was only at the peak of the 1-star saint level at this moment, while the Dragon Kings possessed the strength of 3-star saints, with the Northern Dragon King nearly at the 4-star level. With such an enormous gap in strength, Xiao Yan had not only survived, but had even managed to wound them. He stabilized his body and wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth. A trace of madness also appeared in his eyes. The three great Dragon Kings had driven him into a corner. You'll all have to try much harder if you want to kill me. As madness filled Xiao Yan's eyes, both of his hands formed hand seals, and a gigantic illusory figure once again enveloped his body. He once more activated his spiritual power to unleash the divine wrath of the tranquil source. A terrifying wave of spiritual force erupted again and mercilessly struck the three great dragon kings. At that moment, the gigantic blood-red eyes of the three great dragon kings dimmed. The spiritual attacks had inflicted severe damage upon them. The Northern Dragon King was the first to recover from the second spiritual assault. Die, brat. He once again assumed human form and, in a flash, appeared before Xiao Yan. With a ferocious expression, he slammed a strike into Xiao Yan's chest. Xiao Yan suffered a horrifying blow. Yet he stared fiercely at the Northern Dragon King. With a wave of his hand, a four-colored flame lotus suddenly appeared and slammed into the Northern Dragon King's chest. Explode! The flame lotus erupted once more, and the explosion sent the Northern Dragon King flying 10,000 meters away. He had not expected this at all. Xiao Yan had exchanged blow for blow with him. Xiao Yan's internal organs were thrown into complete chaos by the Northern Dragon King's strike. Even his chest slightly caved in. Without his extremely powerful body, it was very likely that the Northern Dragon King's blow would have simply blown his body apart. While Xiao Yan was struggling to catch his breath, two flashes of light appeared in the air. They were the Southern and Western Dragon Kings. The eyes of these two were bright red, and they looked completely insane. The three great Dragon Kings had been beaten into such a miserable state by someone of the younger generation. Just thinking about this caused what little rationality they had left to be overwhelmed by madness. Little brat, go and die. The Southern Dragon King's expression was savage. His hand transformed into an enormous claw that mercilessly shot toward Xiao Yan's head. If this strike landed, Xiao Yan's head would inevitably explode. The heart in Xiao Yan's chest suddenly began to beat violently. The strange bloodline hidden within his chest quietly began to flow. Sensing the rapid rush of blood through his veins, Xiao Yan suddenly felt as if all the strength he had already exhausted returned to him in an instant. Moreover, it felt as though he had become even stronger. This is Ziyan. Xiao Yan was stunned when a golden light flashed past him, because he saw that the charging arm of the Southern Dragon King had been severed from his body. At last, Ziyan joined the battle. We remember that Xiao Yan had deliberately bought time for Ziyan, taking on the three Dragon Kings by himself in the meantime. Then Xiao Yan saw a figure slowly walking through the air. A liquid golden sword slowly flowed between her hands, and at the same time it radiated a terrifying destructive force. As the new emperor, I will imprison you forever in the dragon prison if you dare to touch him again. Ziyan's body was currently emitting an overwhelming pressure that even frightened Xiao Yan. This pressure originated from the golden sword she held in her hand. The Southern Dragon King stared blankly at his severed arm. Every part of his body possessed frightening toughness. Even if he were struck directly by a 5-star saint, it would have been impossible to cut off his arm. And yet, the dragon-slaying sword? You summoned the dragon-slaying sword. The hearts of the Dragon Kings began to pound violently. The shock in their eyes was unmistakable. Their bodies trembled as they stared at the golden sword in Ziyan's hand. The dragon-slaying sword was not a weapon. It was an extremely powerful Do-Chi technique belonging to the ancient Void Dragon tribe. This Do-Chi technique could only be used by an ancient Void Dragon with the purest royal bloodline. Even the three great Dragon Kings could not use it, and none of them had ever expected that Ziyan would be able to do so. It must be said that even Emperor Zhu Kuan had to reach the 6-star saint level before he barely managed to summon the dragon-slaying sword. Yet Ziyan was currently only at the 4-star saint level. As its name implied, the dragon-slaying sword was used specifically to kill dragons. It could be regarded as a technique belonging exclusively to the Dragon Emperor. Dragon-slaying sword. At this moment, everyone on Dragon Island froze. They raised their heads. Each and every one of them looked at the single figure in the sky with deep fear. All of them felt terror and dread rising directly from their bloodlines. Every Void Dragon feared the dragon-slaying sword from the depths of their soul. The Dragon Emperor had actually summoned the dragon-slaying sword. Moreover, a Dragon Emperor capable of summoning the dragon-slaying sword was the true Emperor. From this moment on, Ziyan had finally proven her authority and her right to command the entire ancient dragon tribe. The liquid golden sword slowly flowed between her hands, continuously radiating terrifying destructive power. As the new emperor, I will imprison you forever in the dragon prison if you dare to touch him again. Ziyan's body was emitting an overwhelming pressure that even Xiao Yan found frightening. The pressure radiated by the dragon-slaying sword filled them with profound dread. They felt as if something capable of slaughtering dragons like chickens could descend upon their heads at any moment. One by one, they knelt down in the void. Today's situation had already been decided. In the future, the Eastern Dragon Island would certainly surpass the three great Dragon Islands. Retreat at once. The Western Dragon King forcibly suppressed the terror in his heart. A furious roar rang out as his body retreated instantly. The Southern Dragon King did not even care about his severed arm and also prepared to flee. Traitors! Dragon-slaying sword, execute them. These were Ziyan's words. Ziyan's purple eyes coldly and indifferently stared at the two retreating figures. A bone-chilling voice escaped her lips as the dragon-slaying sword slowly rose and swung toward the Western Dragon King. The sword slashed downward. Strange ripples pulsed at its tip. The Western Dragon King activated his dragon armor. Layer after layer of dragon scales formed over his head, body, arms, and half of his torso. These dragon scales gleamed as if they were indestructible. Yet this extremely powerful defense collapsed in an instant. The energy released by the dragon-slaying sword pierced through space itself and penetrated his body. The Western Dragon King spat out a mouthful of blood and lowered his head in shock. He saw a massive savage wound stretching from his shoulder all the way to his waist. The cut was extraordinarily smooth, with streams of blood pouring out. Thank you very much for watching. Write in the comments what you think about the outcome of this battle. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and goodbye everyone.